Warpugs. So, today we're going to be checking out something from Majorkill, and this was requested by Ronnie. And Ronnie keeps a good tally on these lists, and this is number 2 in the list for 40k. This is the top 5 Warhammer fantasy characters who can defeat a Primarch. Now, that list, the only one, like, if we're talking about specific characters, or we're talking about, you know, demigods, things like that, there are a couple I can like bring into mind that can beat a Primarch, Lorgar especially. I would say Nagash is definitely one of them. You could probably put Archeon the Everchosen, maybe. I don't know for sure, maybe. Cetra the Imperishable might be one of them. Yeah, so many of them are going to be from the basically the Tomb Kings faction. But again, my knowledge of fantasy is very, very limited in comparison to 40k. So we're going to get into this. The little heater behind me, this is the little heater that could, because I'm telling you what, it's keeping me warm right now when nothing else is. With that little teal heater right back there. Otherwise I'd be a frozen duck right now. Wherever you are tonight, Warpugs, I hope you're warm, because I am not exactly toasty. I'm telling you that right now. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to jump into this. I hope you guys have fun. And we're all going to learn some stuff, because most times when I'm checking out something from Majorkill, I already have a good idea of the people or places he's talking about, things of that nature. But in this particular instance, this is going to be a different kind of experience. Let's go.
G'day guys and gal. Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k share a number of similarities.
True.
The gods have the same name. The main good guy that everyone reveres is a handsome white dude, and they share the same first 3 syllables. Despite this, there isn't exactly a one-to-one power conversion. As I've discussed previously, the demons and gods in 40k are more powerful than the demons and gods in fantasy.
True.
As they fundamentally have a metric spewage load more people in the galaxy feeding them with negative emotions. As you know, everyone in 40k is feeling pretty negative most of the time, so it's quite a lot of power.
True.
As such, killing a demon prince or greater demon in 40k is more impressive than killing one in fantasy. After all, heavily fortified Imperial worlds fall to chaos all the time with no effort, whilst it took the combined aneurysm of all 4 Chaos Gods to destroy the fantasy world, a world where some of the most advanced weaponry was steam-based tanks. Without an exact measurement of power scaling between the 2 settings, we can use a sophisticated method I've developed to uncover a solution.
Oh boy.
Fantasy demons are the Aussie dollar, and 40k demons are the American dollar.
Okay.
Hence a 40k demon is about 1.55 times stronger than a fantasy demon. This will
I question that conversion.
go up or down depending on China's trade restrictions of Australia, or Big Boy Trump's insistence that the Big C isn't really an issue. The reason why I'm focusing on demons as our method of power conversion is because they are the only thing that is the same between the settings. Kabanda, the greater demon of Khorne, is present as Khorne's greatest champion in both settings,
True.
beating Sanguinius in their first encounter in 40k and simultaneously fighting off fantasy's greatest heroes.
Yeah, but I just don't see the power scaling being there. I really don't.
A lot of people think this is a lore channel, but they are wrong. It is a science channel, so we're using science for this video. Checkmate, Christians.
Oh my
Before
God,
we get
really?
started, we are so close to 80,000 subscribers.
It's amazing how this is the case for him, because now he's nearly 500,000 strong.
Past 2 months have been incredible and a dream come true for me. To celebrate this, I am once again asking for your support. Italian Spartacus, I challenge thee to a head-to-head campaign in Total War Warhammer 2 Vanilla. This time there is a significant cash prize. $800 if you beat me, and $200 for just showing up, courtesy of Legend of Total War.
Nice.
It's the offer of a lifetime and would be the kick your channel needs to stay afloat outside of a game or DLC launch. I would honestly be shocked to witness someone who would say no for a free $200. You would have to find me incredibly intimidating to say no, but the ball is in your court.
Oh.
Today we'll be checking out 5 characters from fantasy
You know, I don't know if they actually played this game. I'd love to see if they did.
that could body a Primarch. Not all Primarchs are made equal, so to make things simple, we'll use Gulliman as our guinea pig, whilst also discussing if the fantasy character could beat the rest of the Primarchs, or would the powerful ones such as Magnus or Sanguinius be too much for all of them? Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Kicking us off with the first Warhammer fantasy character that could bone a Primarch is none other than the bony boy himself.
Nagash.
I would call him Bone Daddy, but that title is reserved for Cetra. Nagash is the king of humble beginnings. Whilst others on this list were engineered by gods or chosen by the gods, Nagash made himself a god through good work ethic and dedication. And, lots of messed up experiments resulting in the death and suffering of millions, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah, there we go.
Nagash's superpower was his capacity to learn. He first learnt about dark magic from some dark elves he captured, eventually beating them in a magical duel soon after. He was then able to create an elixir of immortality, and he wiped out the mighty kingdom of Nehekara. Although that second part was just because he was a sore loser and poisoned their water supply.
True.
Them being a kingdom based in the desert, having their water ruined was obviously quite the problem. He then attempted to...
Being surrounded by nothing but sand tends to cause bad lines in film and thirst.
Raise the entire kingdom from the dead as his minions, who would then unleash upon the world, terrifying the Skaven so much that they teamed up with the last remaining king of Nehekara in order to kill him. See, Nagash gets distracted easily. It's like he's got ADHD. If he's summoning millions of undead to his cause, he's usually pretty vulnerable. Fortunately for Nagash, being the embodiment of death means you're pretty good at avoiding it, hence it came back to life once again and was a pest. However, once again he got distracted and died, this time by Sigma wriggling Nagash's own crown in front of them, being like, you'll never get this, la diddy da da. And then Nagash reached for it, and Sigma smacked him with Galmaraz and banished him to the Shadow Realm.
There you go.
Nagash easily could have just said, yes, I will get this, and murder Sigma from 20 meters away with his overpowered death magic. But as the old saying goes, just because you conquered death and unlocked the secrets to immortality doesn't mean you're actually intelligent. Nagash would rise one final time during the end times and finally become more than a pest. He went to an all-you-can-eat god buffet and ate a bunch of gods, becoming extremely powerful to a point where the gods of chaos were genuinely concerned he would kill them. It was Nagash's plan to eat them after all. In his final form, however, Nagash fought Kabanda to a stalemate, before Sigma had to come in and destroy the favoured demon of Khorne. So it begs the question, can full-strength Nagash kill a Primarch? From the above, we can see that his mastery over magic and death makes him a beast, but he's still quite fragile if you're able to get past his guard. Both times he was killed was from a mortal man who was able to surprise him, mainly due to Nagash's arrogance. He could have easily created protective barriers or turned his enemies into dust from afar, but he's just too damn cocky. Ironically, his second in command Arkan is a very sensible lich and uses force fields and range magic like it's going out of fashion. Probably because he has witnessed his lord get his ass kicked many times. Against Gulliman, Nagash has more raw power. His barrage of magic would be enough to subdue and even kill him. I imagine the fight going very similar to Magnus vs Gulliman. Magnus was arrogant and relied on his magic, which is why Gulliman was able to get a few good hits in. Despite that, however, he was only able to beat Magnus due to a lot of help. In saying this though, Gulliman is way smarter than Nagash will ever be, so I doubt he'll just allow himself to get pinned down and slowly drained.
He's done dumber, to be honest with you. He's done dumber.
Instead distancing or distracting until he found an opening. If Sigma can kill Nagash with one hit from Galmaraz, then imagine what Gulliman could do with the flaming sword of the Emperor. Other Primarchs such as Russ or Dawn would probably beat Nagash due to their anti-magic powers, whilst Magnus himself would likely overpower the Lord of Death in sheer sorceress might. In saying that, Primarchs such as the Lion or pre-heresy Lorgar would most likely get killed by Nagash, as the Lion relies on his sword fighting ability and was actually put into a coma by a magic attack, and Lorgar...
I don't see that being the case. The power scaling there is different, but I don't think the Lion would lose. He's used to fighting creatures of chaos.
Is, well, Lorgar. Overall, Nagash would be a tough opponent for a Primarch and could even kill some of them, but the majority of them would beat him, either through outsmarting or overpowering. The next fantasy character that could kill a Primarch is also the most underused villain in the entire setting, Karok the Black. You know Kolek Suneater, that massive god tier Shaggoth?
Yeah.
Well, Karok is his daddy, and he's about 10 times bigger. One time Archaon, the cooler version of Abaddon, scaled a mountain searching for a sword called the Slayer of Kings.
Yeah.
Epic name, I know. After scaling the mountain, he realized it was actually Karok who was asleep and he was climbing on him. It took the strongest of the exalted champions of Chaos to lift Karok's nail to allow Archaon to recover the sword. Well, the sword started screaming at everyone, so Archaon killed his strong mate as a way to get the thing to shut up. Archaon, Lord of the End Times, chosen of Chaos, was scared of waking up old mate Ragnarok. Now there's no point being the size of a mountain if you're just in a coma all the time, so Ragnarok...
Yeah, this guy could do it. Yeah, even though Angron could hold up a Warhound Titan from stepping on him, there's a big difference between that and a damn thing that's confused for a mountain.
Croak is kinda useless, but the time when he is awake, oh boy. With a single swing of his hammer, this mad lad can flatten an entire city. Each step sends tremors through the earth. He is the closest thing to a god that walks among mortals. So why is he asleep all the time? Well, A, because Games Workshop would have really struggled to write themselves out of a corner if they had a walking skyscraper wrecking everyone, and also because science.
True.
The dietary requirements to sustain such a massive frame, along with its complicated movement, would be immense. He would have to eat like 100 mammoths a day, and considering animal populations don't really flourish in the chaos-cucked Norscar, it would really damage the local ecosystems. Overall, between causing mass erosion, loss of flora and fauna, as well as messing with the local weather, Ragnarok is really bad for the environment. It is a bit of a no-brainer that he could squash Gulliman like a bug. Kolek's Sun Eater, his significantly smaller son, would be a match for a Primarch, so Ragnarok would dominate them. The only ones I see able to beat him would be Sanguinius due to his ability to fly around, as well as Magnus due to his immense psychic powers and ability to morph his size.
Yes.
The rest would just get turned into Primarch soup. Especially Angron, that dumbass motherfucker. On to the next character who could body one of the biggest glorified
Angron would get bodied.
experiments. We have Sigma. Now there's a lot of theories that Sigma himself is actually one of the lost Primarchs. It seems as if Games Workshop were considering this possibility, as we know how they love to leave the doors open. However, I can 100% say with absolute confidence that Sigma is not a lost Primarch. He's just a really randomly overpowered guy for no particular reason. Firstly, he never grew to Primarch size. He struggled against enemies that a Primarch would be able to wreck using just their ankles, and he was also born to mortal parents. Sigma is like an RPG protagonist.
Okay.
At level 1, he kicked in some greenskins, then got access to an account-bound overpowered weapon called Galmaraz. From then he just kept leveling up, wrecking greenskins, chaos, Nagash, chaos again, more greenskins, to a point where he literally clapped all the cheeks within range. He then bought some in-game currency and ascended to godhood. During the end times he returned with thousands of years of grinding in heaven, as well as multiple pay-to-win items. He smashed through chaos, shattering Kabunda's skull and kicking Archaon in the balls. As stated in my Could Sigma Kill the God Emperor of Mankind video, Sigma at this point was about Primarch strength. He had godlike powers and could quickly kill the demon that all of his powered up allies could not. Even Nagash couldn't. He then kicked Archaon's ass, despite Archaon having the combined favour of all the gods of chaos. So from this, I would say he could beat all the Primarchs who would fight him fairly. Gulliman, Russ, Lorgar and even the Lion are some of the Primarchs who I would say God Sigma could beat. Once again, Sanguinius would prove to be a massive opponent for Sigma here, as would Magnus, especially since Sigma has a rough track record against magical nerds. If we're talking about Sigma from Age of Sigma, then none of the Primarchs stand a chance.
Okay.
Don't argue, he's a literal god that beat the combined might of Gork and Mork in a wrestling match. On to the first and most badass pointy-eared elf to ever exist, Anaran. You know Games Workshop was really smart making Anaran the first elf. Most other franchises struggle with their elves being considered, well, kind of homo. So having a warrior so badass that the gods of chaos pleaded with him not to clap them is awesome. Anaran rose to prominence when the Great Catastrophe happened and chaos first entered the world. He entered into the flames of Asurian, becoming a demigod, and he started one-shotting everyone and united the elves into a warlike race. Chaos then tried to...
See, this is the thing. I didn't know he was going to include demigods into that, but yeah.
break his will by murdering his family, but that was the worst thing they could have done. Anaran flew on his dragon to the Shrine of Cain to draw the Widowmaker, the sword of the god of war. On his way there, his own gods told him to stop. The Chaos gods told him to stop. Even the spirits of his dead family told him to stop. The only one that didn't was the god of war himself, who thought this was all very epic. Anaran drew the sword and he slaughtered Chaos, winning battle after battle. As a side effect, it made him a massive asshole. But to be fair, that seems like a minor downside when the positives are saving your entire race.
I mean, really, you're looking at Cain here. You're looking at somebody who's using a sword. It's Cain, guys.
Eventually the elves realized they had to create a magic vortex to drain the magic from the world, so Anaran held the forces of chaos back while his mate Kalidor went to work. In a final attempt to stop them, the gods of chaos sent their 4 best chaos demons to kill Anaran. Using our conversion rate, that comes to 2.56 40k greater demons, more than most Primarchs have faced at one time. Anaran killed all 4 greater demons in a 4v2 against him and his dragon, hence allowing Kalidor to save the world. Even as he was dying from his wounds, he still had the willpower to fly back to the Shrine of Cain and replant the Widowmaker before dying. Badass.
Not bad.
If we compare Anaran with the Widowmaker to any of the Primarchs, I'm confident Anaran would win 9 out of 10 times. Sanguinius lost the Kabunda in their first fight, whilst Anaran cut through greater demons like a 9,000 degree knife through butter. He was a one-man army against Chaos, and the demigod of both Asurian and Cain. The only one who would hope to match him in a duel would be the Lion, but I think even he would eventually fall. Magnus would also not be able to do much, as Anaran was able to tear through magic and slay the casters easily. The amount of Titsnitchi and demons he banished back to hell was obscene. If separated from his sword, then it's likely Anaran would not even be able to beat Lorgar, but with it, Lorgar would be his bitch. I mean, Lorgar was already a bitch, but you know what I mean.
You really don't even have to specify that.
And it's time for the final character on this list. A being so powerful that the writers had no idea how to kill him off, so they made him save the world twice. Once while dead in order to beat him. Lord Croak, a literal meme of a character. Lord Croak is a freak on the battlefield even when dead. That's right, the modern day Lord Croak is a mummy who has his flesh glued back together, and he's still one of the most powerful casters around. When he was alive, he was just a joke. Lord Croak was handcrafted by the Old Ones, those interdimensional godlike beings that created most life in both 40k and fantasy. Lord Croak could effortlessly move a planet's tectonic plates and alter time and space whenever he wanted to. When Chaos invaded the world during the Great Catastrophe, Lord Croak was in charge of the Lizardmen. He created a force field that protected his city for 10 years. After 10 years of millions of demons attacking his force field, he began to tire. But this is Lord Croak! He ain't gonna let the force field drop. Instead, he blew it outwards, flattening the land for hundreds of kilometers and killing hundreds of thousands of demons instantly.
Nice.
Millions more died trying to get to Croak as he emascerated the Chaos forces. Eventually, Khorne was like, oh gee whiz, and hand-blessed 20 of his greatest demons with wards that made them immune to magic, and he sent them directly at Croak. Despite being immune to magic, Croak was still able to kill most of them with magic, but they fell on him and tore him to shreds. But this is Lord Croak! Death is irrelevant. Hence Lord Croak's spirit appeared and recreated a sun in the city that only affected demons. As you know, a sun being a few meters away from you will probably give you skin cancer.
A little bit.
Hence all the demons on the continent were instead incinerated and banished. Lord Croak was then stitched back together and continued fighting against the darkness for years. During the end times, the Skaven blew up the moon, and the chunks fell towards the planet, which would have destroyed everything. Lord Croak, in his dead state, was able to not only destroy most of the moon with his mind, but also made it so the impact from all the falling shards would not create tidal waves or earthquakes.
Wow. Okay.
Not much to say here about a matchup against a Primarch, other than the Primarch wouldn't even be able to scream before their insides were turned out. Magnus would stand no chance here, and I think even the Big E would be brought to his knees. This is Lord Croak.
Karok.
Overall, the 40k setting is just way more powerful than fantasy, but there are exceptions to every rule. Just like my rule about white bold people being evil. I stand by that rule, but Voldemort's Guide to Warhammer is an exception to it. He's a good man. And that does us for today, guys. Sorry this video is a bit more PG than usual. YouTube have their eye of Sauron on me at the moment, so I need to be on good behaviour. It's not about like ad revenue per se. You guys have supported me that much on Patreon that it's not that important. It's more like YouTube not recommending my videos to people.
True.
If you like the video and want to support the channel, then hit the subscribe button, and then hit the real subscribe button. We're so close to 100,000 subs, and I have a really cool surprise for you guys when we get there. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Now, I disagree with Lord Croak being able to body every single Primarch. Like I said, I view the power scaling as much different in terms of what they'd be capable of versus what they would not be capable of. I mean, you got to remember, greater demons fighting the Empire in fantasy might have to get shot by a cannonball. In 40k, they get shot by bane blades. There is a difference. They are not the same. Nagash, I do agree with. Anaran, I can definitely get myself behind. Croak, I can definitely get myself behind. I thought that Setral would be on here, but then again, I'm not disappointed that he's not. I really am not disappointed that he's not. And whenever somebody says can beat a Primarch, I'm like, my thought is on the scaling of the Primarch. And pre-heresy Lorgar is by far the weakest of the Primarchs, hands down, including Alfarius, who was barely bigger than his own Astartes. All that aside, Sigmar in his god state, yeah, I think would be a problem for pretty much everybody. But with all that being said, it really does come down to a metric of power scaling as far as how strong people are, and that's why doing a versus comparison of these is always kind of difficult because of the power scaling that you're going to find and all these matchups. And so it's kind of hard to say who would win versus who would not win. But I do agree with his reasoning. I oftentimes find myself in agreement with Majorkill on a lot of the things he says. But, again, like I said, for Anaran to be the Lion, I just don't know. In any case, Warpugs, I'm heading out. I'm sorry I haven't been as prolific as I normally have. Mostly because I'm sick, and I have been sick for some time. Ever since I had the unknown virus of unspecified origins last year, it's taken me a lot longer to get over things than it normally does. And so I have been feeling very under the weather the past couple of weeks, and it has not helped me in that regard. But I do apologize about that. But hopefully it'll be over soon, and I'll be back to my old self. But until then, I will catch you guys next time. Make sure you check the description down below for Majorkill's links. Check the description for my own links. I will see you guys soon.